In news around the world, the UK is now the first country to leave the European Union. WVUA 23's Justina Benoot spoke with a UK citizen who voted in that referendum. Justina.
That's right. Laura Carr was born and raised in England but lives in America and has dual citizenship. And she casted her vote right here from the U.S.
There's definitely a possibility of moving back eventually, and I just want to make sure that I'm doing the best for my family, making sure that their votes and my votes are supported.
Across the pond, a historic referendum as the United Kingdom voted to leave the European Union. Polls showed 52% voted to leave, while 48% voted to stay. And although Laura Carr lives in the U.S., her dual citizenship allowed her to vote in the referendum. She voted to leave the European Union. Here's one reason why.
The EU elected officials were not actually elected. They were completely appointed, and they're the people running Europe in Brussels. And nobody knows who they are, and nobody voted for them. So I think at the end of the day, it was just very undemocratic leadership, process, and such a huge government that nobody knew how it was run or being run, and I think it was very corrupt.
So what is the EU? According to BBC, it's an economic and political partnership involving 28 European countries. Founded in the 1950s, it began after World War II to foster economic unity, with the idea that countries that trade together are more likely to avoid going to war with each other. British Prime Minister David Cameron, who fought hard to keep the country in the European Union, said he'll resign before October. President Obama, who favored the UK to stay, spoke with Cameron after the vote.
While the UK's relationship with the EU will change, one thing that will not change is the special relationship that exists between our two nations. That will endure.
And like Carr, those who voted to leave believe it'll open up a whole new world for their country.
I think this is now very exciting to see that global trade deals are now going to be put in place, that the UK can decide. It's now free trade with the rest of the world, and I think it's going to see a lot of success for that.
However, following Britain's historic decision, world markets were rocked and raised concerns about trade, travel, and immigration. One thing is certain, the UK will now be sailing solo into uncharted waters. But
the UK is now going to be sovereign and able to make its own decisions.
so what happens now? For the UK to leave the EU, it has to invoke an agreement called Article 50 of the treaty. Cameron or his successor need to decide when to invoke this. That will then set in motion the formal legal process of withdrawing from the EU and give the UK 2 years to negotiate its withdrawal. After that, it can be kicked out of the EU unless all members agree to extend that deadline. Reporting live, Justina Benoot, WVUA 23 News.